What is the most common dinosaur in dentistry? Well, over 80% of offices still use paper clips and old paper forms. It's time to bury that dinosaur and move to Opera DDS Forms, where for as little as $59 a month, you can get all of your forms online. We've got a slick form editor where you can create your own forms. There's just absolutely no reason to stick with the old school ways. Avoid all the half solutions with PDFs online. Get yourself true paperless forms, any form, any device, anywhere, starting at just $59 a month. Go to forms.operadds.com. Welcome to the Operatory podcast, the podcast about burying the dinosaurs in dentistry, moving past outdated technology and procedures to find a better way. With me, as always, is the man staring off into the distance, David Pryor. How are you doing?
Hey, Bryan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for providing the patient perspective. And today, sir, I have probably one of my kids, as we've talked about on the podcast before, they listen to this podcast. And I have a quote, idiom, a cliche that I say to them all of the time. And I was sitting around thinking, and I thought, we should talk about this on the podcast from a very specific perspective that's going to ruffle some feathers. Some people aren't going to be happy with me today, Dave.
I imagine I'll be one of them.
No, not you.
Okay.
No, that wouldn't really be that wouldn't be a big special thing if you're not happy with me. Or likewise, right? It's just that's the way the world goes. But today we are going to ruffle some feathers. And I can't say I don't feel bad about ruffling some feathers. I mean, in general, there's just some birds that need to have their feathers ruffled today.
Oh, I think I completely agree with that.
Okay, so so here's what I say. Like when my teenage daughter comes to me and says one of her colleagues says, so and so said this.
Yes.
Right. And we're talking about 15-year-old girls talking. I always say, consider the source.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
When you're a 15-year-old girl and you're talking to another 15-year-old girl or boy or a 10-year-old boy, consider the source. Maybe, if they're talking about cold fusion, maybe consider the source, right?
Okay, yeah.
And taking that to dentistry, all I can think of is the consulting industry in dentistry.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So consider the source when you're listening,
Yeah.
right? I just, and obviously it's thinly veiled that I heard a consultant speaking. Okay. And I was like, and people are writing stuff down and I'm thinking this person has never delivered. I mean, I don't think they ever ran a practice. Yeah. They're certainly not a dentist, right? They're not a clinician and they're giving all of this advice, right? Why do we listen to them? And I only say this being sort of on the other side of it a bit, right? Because I would be early on in my career, whoever's on the podium, I'd be writing it down, right?
Yeah,
oh my gosh, must be the word of God.
I was just about to jump down your throat too, because you hired so many consultants in your career,
and I gained from them,
Yep.
right? I don't want to I don't want to diminish the fact that there's many good consultants out there giving advice, right?
Yep.
Maybe that's disingenuous, right? But there's also a lot that aren't, and there's a lot that are out there that are presenting on a much larger scale than I think their credentials would validate, right? I mean, does that make sense?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you come to this discussion with a whole lot more knowledge and wisdom than you had when you first started using consultants.
Less hair, more pounds, maybe. But I think the point, like I would like to say experience, right? We talked about it before. There's no failure. There's just success and learning, and I've learned a lot, right, from lots of failure.
Yes.
And I think that's the piece that's missing with when I say consider the source. If somebody heard it from somebody else that's never implemented, and they haven't felt the pain of the mistake, right? I mean, that's how we learn the most. And so those of us who have for example, when I'm looking to progress in something, it's common knowledge to find a mentor. Why do you want to find a mentor? It's not because that person is so smart or wise. It's because they've bashed their head against the wall in the darkness trying to find the light, right?
Yep.
And that's really what it comes down to. And I feel like this industry is filled with people who have zero experience or almost zero that are out there basically just talking to dentists who are looking for some type of guidance. And rather than going out and really evaluating the source, they don't consider the source. And if there's a, I'm trying to be somewhat political while ruffling feathers, but if there's this company looks big and they have lots of people, it's like, oh, they must know what they're doing. And they do. They know how to market their services to get your money. They don't necessarily know how to run a dental practice. They know how to run a consulting firm, which is very different than how do you take care of patients and grow your practice.
I agree. I think that it depends what your mission is.
Clarify. Explain.
So if your mission is purely to make money, you can do that. Or if your mission is to help people, you can do that. You can have them both be the same thing, but I think there's plenty of people out there that they're going to make their money no matter what it takes to get there, and it doesn't really necessarily lead to good advice, good answers, good information. They're just trying to get you hyped up.
I hear what you're saying, and I would respectfully disagree a little bit from the standpoint is that I don't think in dentistry you can grow your practice without taking care of patients, or at least that being your intent, right? I think it's very difficult. I see a lot of dentists. I see a lot of people who have very big practices, and the ones who are really successful truly care about their patients. You can't go out and hire some consultant who will take you down a dark path and have your practice be successful,
right?
Monetarily,
right?
even.
No. What I'm saying is that there's consultants, not dentists.
Yes.
I don't think anybody goes into dentistry and the arduous process of what it takes to become a dentist without true desire to help people. They all do. But I think that in the consulting world, you have consultants that want to help people, and you also have some consultants that are purely in it for the money.
Okay, I'm going to ruffle feathers even a little more here based on what you said.
Okay.
I do feel that there's a lot of consultants who are well-meaning that don't understand that they don't have the experience to be giving the advice that they're talking about, right?
Yep.
Let me tell you the example.
Okay.
Just a generic example that is not very generic. There's a successful practice, right?
Yep.
20 years ago, right? Let's call it 20 years ago because I've been in dentistry for 20 years. My 20-year reunion is next week. I should probably RSVP, huh? So
have Megan do it.
We just talked about how we had another dentist on the podcast earlier today because talking about delegation, and I was thinking I can't do anything. I can't even RSVP. But anyway, so 20 years ago, this practice was relatively small. Let's say I don't know 500 patients, and then over the next 5 years, it blossomed. Okay, it grew and it became quite a large business from dental perspectives 20 years ago. Let's say it was $1 million practice, which back then was a big deal, right? I've talked before about the book that I read in dental school that was transformative for me. Dr. Kestner wrote called The $1 Million Practice. I was like, damn, if I could have $1 million practice, right? So this practice became the $1 million practice. And somebody was running that practice. And I'm doing air quotes with running that practice.
Yes.
Because back then, even to have a successful single dentist practice, right, you really just had to really care about patients and perform decent dentistry and not hurt people, and then just not answer the phone nicely, right? So this practice grew basically because they didn't suck and they cared about people.
Yeah.
Well, somebody working in that practice goes, I am a huge part of this $1 million practice. I should spread this knowledge across the industry. And that's a very common occurrence in dentistry, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to be ruffling feathers here.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, but consider the source. If you have a multi-location practice, or there's 2 dentists that are doing, let's call it $2 million in a practice or whatever, and you go to and that person is lecturing and they're nationally known for, right? That is not an uncommon occurrence. And I'm not saying that all of these people, all of the consultants don't add value. but consider what they're talking about. Consider if they should actually have the knowledge base, if they made the mistakes to be talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep. I think what you're talking about is somebody that's alongside in the same room as the people that are making the super innovative and creative business, and then they feel that because they were in the room that they have a level of knowledge that is equivalent to the person that took all the risk and made the changes and made the innovations, and that's not the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, from the same conversation we were talking about previously, if I were to go out on this podcast and start giving financial advice on how to do financial modeling and how to categorize, I can't even say it, your QuickBooks and do future project, that would be like so disingenuous. I am not a financial guy at all, right? But implementing technology, trying to change the patient's perspective, something that I've been hyper focused on for 20 years, right, and has grown my practice. That's kind of what the perspective that I'm trying to, and frankly, somebody that's hired those consultants, taken their advice, and then slammed into a wall.
Well, I'm going to give you a perfect example of exactly what you're talking about.
Of what I suck at? Thanks.
No, you suck at a lot of stuff. But what I'm going to give is this. I was the one that first introduced you to the modern virtual reality experience. I brought it over my VR headset and showed you, look at this, look at how cool this is. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years later, you have, not even 2 years later, like a year later, you had Opera VR, a virtual reality sedation, out in the marketplace. Now, I in no way think that I could have conceptualized, let alone implemented, that innovation. And so just because I was the guy that brought it over to you, showed it to you and said, wow, look at this, isn't this cool? Your brain is the one that went, I know how this would really help out in dentistry. Let's see if it works. And sure enough, it did.
Well, I mean, and so yes, but I mean, you are also a technologist. We're both nerds, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
both geeks.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and like, if you're talking about technology to somebody, you know what you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
If you were to say, like, maybe let me restate to clarify, like if you were to talk about, boy, I was a huge part of the like vision behind the Opera VR or whatever. I mean, that I would guess, but even
I would never say that.
No, I realize that, but like if you were going to go on the lecture circuit, right?
Yeah.
But my like there is a lot of that in dentistry where people are going out, they're taking a practice that they were successful in, and they very well may have helped have that practice become successful, but they're not talking about what they did to make it successful. They're talking about whatever some company is wanting them to lecture on, or that will sponsor their course or whatever. And there's again lots of good consultants, lots of good knowledge out there from all different types of people. But my one piece of advice from this podcast coming in is the same thing that I love to tell my kids. Consider the source.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Bryan.
I also want to remind you to rate and review us wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you have suggestions or comments, please visit theoperatory.com and drop us a line. Again, I'm Dr. Bryan Laskin, host of The Operatory. Thanks for listening. I look forward to speaking with you next week.